It's just gone 11:45. News Talk 106 to 108. You can forget the rugby and the soccer. Ireland's hopes and dreams now rest with our Olympians and our Paralympians. The 2012 Paralympic Games take place in London from August 29th to September the 9th, and two of Ireland's hopefuls are cyclists Enda Smith and Pádraig Moran, who are with us in studio. Enda and Pádraig, good morning. How are the two of you today? Just tell me, what are your disciplines again, Enda? What are you going to be, hopefully?
Basically, jack of all trades at the moment. I've 5 events to do on the cycling. I've 3 indoor, which is the kilometre sprint, the 3k pursuit, also a member of the team sprint squad, himself and 2 other teammates, and then we've a 2-day recovery and we're out onto the road for road race, and then we finish on the time trial.
But they're all cycling, aren't they?
They're all cycling.
So you can call it jack of all trades, but they're all cycling at the end of the day. And Pádraig, yours, what's your, you even pronounce yours, will you?
My sport is bocce. I'll be competing in the team event in London, so I've only got one event, so little less work to do.
What's that actually? What is that sport?
Bocce, it's like a game of indoor bowls for people with severe disabilities. It's very similar to bowls, basically. It's just the easiest way to explain it.
Okay, great. And you don't know yet whether you're going to find out. Was it Friday, you think?
Friday, yeah. Team announcement on Friday, so fingers crossed. Like,
brilliant.
Hopefully the last 4 years hasn't been wasted.
Because you put an awful lot. I mean, just to get a level of professionalism. How much are you actually professional at this?
Training full time at the moment.
Full time. Yeah, and yourself?
Same as myself. Yeah, trying to juggle work in college. It's a bit of but we managed to fit it all in. So.
My God! And you have represented Ireland before, haven't you? Were you in?
Yeah, I raced in Beijing in 2008.
Wow! What was that like?
An eye opener, a jaw dropper, and definitely it was I suppose this time round. Hopefully, touch wood now with London, you're going to be going in. You're not going to be as awestruck as you were, but like it is, they call it the greatest show on earth. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like it's an absolute carnival.
How did you get on?
I come out ranked better than I went in. Like I went in ranked, I think 13th. They came out ranked 7th, but I was a bit disappointed in the performance. I missed the final ride off by like points. It was at 0.85 of a second, which is the blink of an eye, but in cycling terms, like that's huge.
It's a world, is it?
So I'm well kind of. I went down in infamy for the kind of having a bit of a breakdown and crying, being interviewed on RTE at the end of it. But actually, like,
no, that's understandable, isn't it?
You race with your heart in your sleeves. You're like, that's. You know, if you can't give 100% at the games, like, you might as well go home. You know, it's.
How about you? Did you manage to make it along?
Yeah, I was in Beijing. I finished 5th in the individual competition. I missed out on the semis by a millimetre. A sheet of paper was all it was between the two balls, and the sheet of paper between his and my ball, the paper stuck. The paper went right down through. So whenever RT show a bit of footage, I'm putting my head in my hands as well.
Oh God!
So whenever I see it, it's always that one bit of footage. You know, like
it's so frustrating to get that close. I can't believe a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's how tight bocce can get. That they need sheets of paper to actually measure the distance between the balls. Like it's a very accurate game.
Since then, you won gold in Lisbon in 2010, didn't you?
Yeah, former world champion now. So it's a long time ago. So we just focus now.
So should you manage to get to Beijing, you'd be approaching it with high or London.
I'll only be playing in the team event because I got moved up a class last year, so my world ranking isn't high enough, so I can only compete on the team event. But my hope would be then in a couple of years that I get that world title in the new class, because I'll be the first ever athlete to do so.
How would that be?
Because I'm in a different class, moved up, so my target now.
What would it mean to you?
To do that would just be amazing, and that's my target now. I want to get myself better and kind of more able to compete with these guys that I'm going in against, and that is my dream now. It's going to take me a few years to do it, but my hope then is obviously to look at Rio individually, but like my focus is on London now and making sure the team perform and we do really well as a team to make sure we have a good kick-off next year for the Europeans, because effectively for the team we start qualifying for Rio at this event because we gain ranking points in London.
God, it's such an incredible achievement for the two of you. The progress you've made in your sports.
Yeah, I think it's the progress you have to make. Like I suppose when we came back from Beijing and you kind of did your debrief and realised like what you could change. Like the first thing I made the decision when I come back from Beijing was you're kind of going like 95% of the guys you're racing with were training full time. And I was still working at the time, so you've got to make that.
A little bit about your own background, Enda. When you were growing up, you didn't realise you had a disability, did you?
I always knew I had CP. I never kind of. I suppose in one way I hit it off. Yeah. Like when I started off racing, we applied for a race licence the same way somebody would apply for a car licence, and I never mentioned a thing about my disability when I started racing, because I was convinced that if you mentioned it, you'd kind of get this kind of God bless him 10-minute head start kind of thing. You know, and like that's the one thing that like, even to this day would just drive me up the wall completely, because you want to compete on an even keel.
So how was it for you growing up? I mean, if you were diagnosed with cerebral palsy,
diagnosed with cerebral palsy from birth.
But with you know, obviously there's quite a spectrum involved here.
Yeah, luckily enough, I'm one of I have a very, very mild version of it. Which just affects the muscle and tone and the reflex on my left side.
Right.
I suppose at the start, the national school were a bit iffy about letting me in back in the day, so I went to school down in the CRC, Central Media Clinic in Clontarf, for my early years before the national school would actually accept me in, which is like this day and age, like it's absolutely crazy.
It is crazy. And when you were trying to go, you wanted to be a chef, didn't you?
Yeah, I trained to be a chef, and that's kind of, I suppose, like, if you look at it one way and you don't put any limitations on yourself, the sky isn't even the limit. You can go, like, there's nothing that's impossible. You can do whatever you need to do.
You kind of mentioned how people respond to you. Do you come across a patronising attitude now?
No, not really. I think through sport more people acknowledge it now. I think on a day-to-day basis, I think once you're competing with people on a level playing field, that's the thing I love about cycling. Like at sports days in schools, like I was never the quickest runner, and I was never the highest jumper and stuff like that.
Right.
Like I always reckoned it was because of the CP, but I reckon with the cycling, you're on more of you're still at a disadvantage, like with the races I do on a Sunday, but you're not as much of a disadvantage.
Paul, your disability is more severe, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got cerebral palsy as well, but mine is a lot more severe than Enda's would be. So simply for me, my left side is my more affected side, so I actually refer to that as my gimpy side, because I've learned to laugh at my disability, because if you don't learn to do that, you know, you'll just never go outside. So I can't pick up a cup or something in my left hand or do anything, because it's my higher tone side, so my right side is my really good side, and it's my dominant side. So I suppose people kind of still look at you and go, God bless you, you know. And I've had to break down a lot of barriers in terms of, I work in media now as well, and I'm doing my degree. So for me, I suppose it's about breaking down barriers and getting rid of that stereotypical attitude that if someone has a disability that they can't do something. Because if someone says to me I can't do something, it's like a red rag to a bull, and I'll just go and try even harder to do it. And I suppose when I started working in media first, I suppose that was kind of the thing I was greeted with, and now kind of people know me, and it's like they don't see that anymore. But I suppose when I started, that probably was a stereotypical attitude.
I read about you at school. You had quite a hard time at school, didn't you?
Yeah, I was bullied quite badly in secondary school. Yeah, but for me now, that's made me a stronger person. And I wrote a story about that, and I know it was taken into other schools in the inner city to try and stop bullying. And I suppose the mistake I made was I didn't tell people because I thought it was my fault. And you know, it's the one message that I would always give to anyone now that is being bullied, no matter what it is, tell someone. Because for 2 years I didn't tell anyone, and nobody knew what was going on until I was on a radio talk show, and everyone became aware of it then, because I thought it was my fault and I'd caused it, and I was afraid to tell people.
What was actually going on?
Basically they were jealous of the fact that I needed assistive technology like a laptop, because when I write, I can only write for 10 minutes before it becomes illegible, and that they gave me a laptop, and because I was given other things to help me get around the school, I used to be on a walker and crutches, and just one day they took my walker and took my crutches and left me sitting up on the grass, and I went back down to the school, and another day I got a compass stuck into my back, and you know, so it was quite a bad time in my life, but I've come out of it stronger now, and you know, you just put all that down to experience. And you know, if I can stop anyone being bullied or help anyone like that, I always will. Like, I'll be the first one to say, you need to go and tell someone. In
the midst of all this, your Baka, which you've managed to teach me how to pronounce correctly, left to my own devices, I would have said Baka, you know that, came into your life. You must be working very hard at that to reach the standards you've reached. Yeah,
well, with Bocce, it's more muscle memory. The more you do it, the more the muscles remember. Because with the level of CP that Bocce players would have, you have what you call tiny little spasms. So when you're throwing a ball, your hand might go off to the right or to the left. So the more you do it, so I'm training 30+ hours a week to make sure that that doesn't happen, because the more I do it, the less likely it is for my hand to decide to do its little wave at the end, you know.
You're going to find out in a few days whether you're heading over to London.
Yeah.
God, I'll tell you, lads, if you aren't heading over, I'm going to be mortally disappointed. The amount of effort the two of you put in.
No pressure there, is there?
No pressure at all. No pressure at all. Enda Smith, Portmore, thanks very much for coming in. We'll follow your progress, and I really hope we get some good news in the next few days, and I'll let people know if and when we do.
Thanks
very much for coming in.